G'day folks, this is the Art Biz Show. My name's Rod Moore. I'm a full-time professional artist and art teacher, and this is the no BS talk about how you can become successful as a professional artist. Now, today I want to talk about two things. There's only two things I think that you need to focus on to build your successful art business. And as artists, we tend to overcomplicate everything, right? We come up with a million things to do, we become overwhelmed, and then we stop dead in our tracks thinking it's all too hard, right? And you don't need to be that way. What you need to do is focus in on a few simple things. Now, obviously within those two things, there's different things you need to consider, but if you chunk up to the fact that there's only two things that you need to consider to be successful and that you need to do on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis, it makes your life a whole lot easier. Because then you can compartmentalize your life into different segments. And this is what I've done, which has helped me to become successful. So there are certain times of the day where I do certain activities from category 1, and I do activities from category 2, the two things that we're going to talk about. And by compartmentalizing my life like that, it helps me to switch from the artistic, creative side of my brain into the more logical, analytical systems and so on side of my brain. Switching between the left brain and right brain. If you try and do both of these things simultaneously throughout the day, it does become overwhelming and your brain has trouble dealing with the two things. And the two things you need to focus on are very, very different, although there are some similarities and commonality between them. So what are the two things? And I've mentioned this in other videos, so this should come as no surprise. The first thing you need to focus on is producing great art, right? Now, if your art is not selling right now, most likely it's because you're just not producing great art that people want to buy, right? This is the key. You can't just produce whatever the hell you want to produce. You've got to produce art that is appealing to the marketplace. Whatever niche of the market that you go after, you have to produce art that's appealing to that niche and that they want to buy it, right? If they don't want to buy it, then that's probably why you're not selling art right now. So you need to produce great art, but it has to be art that people want to buy. Now, I'm a great believer that you can pretty much build a market around any type of art, but that's the key, is building a market around it, right? If you're producing artwork that's sort of out there a little bit or, is challenging, then it's going to require a particular type of buyer who's going to want to buy that. So maybe you need to consider how appealing your artwork is. But the important point here is you've got to produce great artwork. Now, you need to do that on a consistent and regular basis, because if you're in the art business, which if you're watching this, I'm assuming that you have made the decision you're going to be in the art business. So if you are in the art business, you've got to be a business person. And if you own a business, one of the fundamental things you need to have is product to sell. Anytime a business runs out of products or services that they can sell, they're out of business, right? So if you're an artist, you need product to sell. And that means you need to create product, right? So we think about doing painting or, pottery or whatever it is that we do as our artistic endeavor. And we don't think about producing a product to sell. But if you're in the art business, every painting you produce becomes a product. And every product that you create can be leveraged for income. Artists are too limited in their thinking. They think, I've made a painting, I'm going to sell it, and I'm going to get paid once for it. You don't want to do that. You want to look for multiple opportunities on how to create revenue from the artwork that you produce. But getting back to my point, you need to have a consistent and reliable art production practice. It means time in the studio, right? I'm filming this in my studio. I'm not in a TV studio or anything like that. Forget that. That's all too hard, right? I'm in my art studio. I'm going to rip this jacket off shortly. I'm going to paint, right? I'm going to do what I do on a daily basis. If you want to be a full-time working professional artist, you need to produce great artwork on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. You need to have targets for yourself. How many pieces of work are you going to produce each year, each month, and each week? And then no excuses. That week, you produce your target number of pieces. You're not waiting for bolts of inspiration or the muse to cast a whimsical, creative magic over you, right? That's all bullshit. You can't build a business around what may or may not happen. You need to have a production schedule. How many paintings this year am I going to produce? And the reality is, most artists who are successful are highly productive. I mean, look at Picasso. What did he produce? 20,000 pieces of artwork in his lifetime, right? And he's one of the greatest artists in history. Gee, I wonder if there's a correlation between the two. You can't produce 1 or 2 pieces of work a month and expect to build an art business out of that. Because think about it, right? Even if you were able to sell those pieces for $5,000 and you were able to sell both of those 2 pieces every month, month in, month out, which by the way, if you're able to do that, you don't need to watch any more of our videos, right? Forget it. But let's say that was a possibility. I'm going to do 2 pieces of artwork each month and I'm going to sell them for $5,000, right? Well, the first thing I'd say is, what if you don't? You know, if you only sell one, let's say your bills and your expenses and your lifestyle costs you $8,000 a month and $2,000 in expenses, right? Well, what if you only sell one of them that month? Then the $5,000 you miss out on is a massive hit in your cash flow, right? Cash flow, it's a business term. If you're an art business, you need to understand cash flow, right? You'll understand it when the money runs out anyway, put it that way. When the bills keep coming but the money stops, then you'll understand cash flow. So if you're only producing a small number of high value paintings or artwork each month and you miss your sales targets, you're screwed, right? But here's the other thing. If you only produce 2 pieces of artwork each month, how many opportunities do you then have during the month to do the sales and marketing and promotion side of your business? 2. Right? You only talk about those 2 paintings so much. But what if you're doing 2 paintings a day, right? Then you've got 60 opportunities to create videos, do blog posts, post it on social media. So higher production gives you higher marketing opportunities, more marketing opportunities. So I think for most of you who are out there, and this is what I do, I'm a high production artist. I'm going to produce 500 pieces of art this week. Not this week, what the hell am I talking about? This year, right? 500 pieces of artwork this year is what I'm going to do. Now, when I tell it to a lot of artists, they just can't fathom that level of production. But, you know, come on, you're a full-time working artist, you want to be a full-time art business person, then you're going to need high production. But think about it, that's giving you 500 opportunities to promote and market and try different things with that promotion, to do blog posts, to share the images, to put them onto online galleries. You think about the artist that only has 2 pieces of artwork on an online gallery, right? Now here in Australia, we have an online gallery called Blue Thumb. They're very successful. They've sold 15,000 pieces of artwork, right? Now, if you're an artist that only has 2 pieces of artwork produced this month, how many listings do you have on the online gallery? 2, right? And then I come along, and sure, they're $5,000, and if you sell them, fantastic, right? But then I come along as a high production artist and I produce 60 pieces of artwork that month. I've now got 60 pieces listed on that particular online gallery. I'm just using that as an example. I'm not suggesting you should put your artwork there, but I've got 60 pieces on there. So when the search engines go and they index that particular online gallery, they're picking up Rod Moore art, images, links, content 60 times versus your 2, right? High volume production. Now, I'm not suggesting you drop your quality, but you need to become highly productive. If art takes you 2 weeks to produce a single piece, you need to rethink that, right? To become a full-time professional working artist. You need high production. So the first of the 2 things is you need to have a production schedule, a yearly goal, a monthly target, and a weekly activity. I'm going to produce this week 10 small paintings and 3 big paintings, right? You need to know what your production level is. And for most of you, it's going to be, you need it to be higher, much higher than what you think it is right now, okay? So that's the first thing. You need to have production schedule to produce great art. The second thing, of course, is you need to sell that art. So you need to promote that art. And I just mentioned before, the more artwork you have that you produce, the more opportunities you've got to go out and promote that artwork, right? If you've got only a few pieces, you've only got a few opportunities, and people will get sick of hearing about the same piece of artwork over and over. But if you've got 50 or 60 pieces that you've created, then you've got lots of stories to tell. You can share the inspiration behind them, what gave you the idea, what the methodology was, the story behind each of those pieces of artwork. And that means that every day you can do 2 or 3 shares on social media and blog posts and videos on YouTube, and it snowballs from there. The more work you produce, the more opportunities to sell and market and promote your work, right? This is a real key that I think a lot of artists miss. So there's only 2 things you need to focus on: production of great quality work, and you need to get your production levels up, and then promoting, selling, and marketing that work. If you could just get your mind around those 2 things and say, okay, I'm going to master those 2 things, right? Becoming highly productive in my studio and improving my game, upping my game, right? My sales breakthrough came when I changed the approach that I had, and I upped my game. I became more professional. I changed my style. I fell in love with the new style, and I started to paint a hell of a lot more. And as I said, more production mean more promotion opportunities, and more sales followed as a result of that, right? And if you want more sales, increase your production of high quality work, and then make sure you promote and sell and market that work, right? That's the key. 2 things to focus on. Everything else just gets in the way of you being successful. Production, sales. Focus on those 2 things, and sales will start to happen, and you'll become successful as well. Hope you've enjoyed this week's episode. Leave a like, comment, share, question, and I look forward to seeing you next week in the Art Biz Show. Don't listen to any of the BS that's out there. Focus in on production and promotion.